Hey everyone, this is Jay back with a Fire Emblem Convergence video, and this is sort of a in-depth, well not really an in-depth video, but this is going over what Fire Emblem Convergence is. We're just glossing over it. This entire thing is unscripted, so I'm just gonna tell you straight up by going over the basics. Fire Emblem Convergence. The name Convergence came from me looking up words that mean to come together, to converge. And the reason I came up with that name is because this story kind of has 7 different lords. Not in the way Fire Emblem for the Game Boy does, because that one follows different parts of a story following 3 different lords. This one you choose the lord, and that changes the ending and the beginning of the story and what you go up against. And that's mostly because we want there to be diversity between the different kinds of heroes there are. For example, the mercenaries' path is going to be different from a path of the villagers, and that really helps diversify all the different kinds of gameplay mechanics there could be. And now, like I said, there are 7 different lords. That is a lot of lords, but we have a reason for that. One lord kind of focuses on the falchion in their story. The other lord focuses on the shield, the fire emblem itself. And the other 5 lords kind of have something to do with the actual gems of the fire emblem. In my story, the gems of the Fire Emblem go back to how they were in Shadow Dragon, Blade of Light, and Mystery of the Emblem, in which they could be used for power. But I did take some artistic liberty and change the kind of power they gave. Right, the lords. Starting off with the villager, the village story path, what we like to call it, and we follow Vayne. Now, Vayne is a descendant of Elysian royalty. The reason why the Elysian royalty or the Exalts are no longer in power is because they were kind of overthrown by the church. Now the church follows the goddess Na, because she was the divine goddess of her time, and she was the last one of the divine dragons. Well, there's still more, but they're almost extinct, and a lot of hiding has to be done with her because she has the brand of the Exalt. It's resurfaced on her arm, similar to Chrom's arm. And that point is because they've been hiding for so long, people at this point just think they don't even exist. They think they kind of died out. And she is the only one who can take Falchion out of the stone, because I'm kind of taking liberties making it a King Arthur story, mixing it with the Alm's path in Fire Emblem Gaiden and his path in Echoes Shadows of Valentia. So she kind of has a mix of those 2 things going on. The next one, Darcel. Darcel is a young dragon. She is the divine voice, or the voice of Na, or whatever you'd like to call it. But she is the last divine dragon. And her path involves Na telling her that she must collect the Fire Emblem and that she must bring a stop to the evil that is upcoming. This one is a bit easier than the other games, but the whole story revolves around not having as many casualties and meeting certain criteria, because humans, mostly the church, are hunting the Manicheets and trying to kill as many dragons as there are, trying to rewrite history in their favor. And she wants to come to a peaceful resolve, which is noble, but is going to be kind of hard if she's killing people. Now, it's not like you're going to go throughout the whole game not leveling up your units. There will definitely be monsters and things that you have to go through, but certain maps are just going to be kind of like espionage, kind of, where you kind of have to go without killing people. And depending on the outcome, that changes the paths or certain chapters, or you'll do something else. But yeah, that one's kind of like a pacifist run, I'd say, but not really, because like I said, the monsters. Moving on to Jay, the mercenary. He is involved with the red gem of the storyline, the red gem being the gem of fire in my story. This is super important because he kind of has an Ike mirrored path mixed with some other characters from fiction. He was raised by his best friend's father, and his best friend's father was a knight of the church. Now, after his friend's father retired, his friend ended up taking that place, and that is heavily involved in the story, and that kind of helps him reach his goal, because not everyone's gonna want to complete the Fire Emblem and defeat evil. They all kind of need a purpose, and for Jay, that's his purpose. It was his childhood best friend. Moving on to Noah. Noah is a young noble. Now, the way the nobles work is that the church assigns them because they know the nobles will be loyal to them if they give them power, money, and whatnot. And Noah's family is kind of on, how to explain it? His mother particularly, because in the story he has no father. Father died a while ago. It's only his mother who has the position and the power. It was secretly trying to find evidence against the church that there was something wrong and some of the other nobles were corrupt. Now, when Noah takes his place at his rightful age and he takes the power and the position, he goes through all the things and finds that the other nobles are corrupted, and he needs a way to fix this because his family, although in a great position compared to the commoners, aren't really in a great position compared to the other nobles. They're kind of like bottom of the line, but he's going to do what he can to fix the world in which he lives in. Mateo. Mateo is a sorcerer, kind of like Julius. He was bred for a purpose. He has high magical abilities, specifically dark magic. He was bred for the sole reason to use the stone, so kind of like, think Lion mixed with Julius a little bit. He was born for the purpose of using the stone and unlocking the power within, because they all believed that only someone with a high magical ability in dark magic could open up the dark stone. And the reason for that conclusion is because everyone's tried using the power but to no avail, and it has a great matter of dark magic inside of it. Now, like I said, the stones in my story, they all kind of have their own artistic changes to them, and if you don't like it, well, I don't know what to tell you, but this is just like a fan story and a fan game all in one. Moving on to Choji. Choji is part of the Nagasato clan, I think it was. I could be remembering that wrong, but like I said, this video is unscripted, and I'm just going through it because a lot of people were asking questions. Now, his clan, his father was head of the clan, and they were kind of dying out a little, but his father was assassinated, and he's trying to find the person who assassinated him. And he finds out later why his father was assassinated. His father carried a white stone that had wind powers, and being assassins and ninjas and thieves, that kind of helped them doing what they did best, killing people and stealing and robbing and whatnot. But his whole thing is vengeance or justice. We haven't really decided yet because the most of the stories that are completed, well, the 3 story completed ones are the nobles, the mercenaries, and the village. This one still has things that can be fixed to it, still has characters that can be added or adjusted or taken out if need be. But yeah, Choji kind of has a vengeance or justice kind of feel to him, and that's his whole story point. And yeah, that's pretty much it for him. Next we have, I think, our last main lord, Axel. Axel is a pirate. I don't think we've had any pirate lords before in Fire Emblem, but I wanted to try something new with him. His origin is that his mother and his father were both pirates. He was born on a boat, and he doesn't really want to live that life, but because of what he's been around his entire life, he never really had the chance to get out of it. But he wants to change his fate. He wants something more for his life. and that's his whole story. He goes through a whole emotional development, and his whole thing is changing his fate. A little bit of inspiration was taken from Lucina, and some from some other fictional works like shoot, I can't name it. It was an anime, but that's where his whole pirate shtick came from. And we just thought this would be very unique, having a pirate as a lord and getting to go through the story, seeing what he would see, seeing how people would react to him. And yeah, he was honestly chosen as a pirate because a lot of these people are based off of real people. Like me, my character would be Jay, and all these other people would be around the people around in my life, but that they're just kind of based off of them. And Axel was based off of a guy I knew who was kind of roguish, but ended up joining the military, and that's what we wanted. We wanted someone who can embody a character who their status was kind of meh, but they chose to do something that was above their call. They wanted to change their own fate. And that's pretty much it for the lords. The main villain of the game would be the Pope. I'm not gonna spoil how he's the main villain of every story. But he is, his name is Ekta. He has no drawing as of currently because we don't really know how we want him to look. We do want him to be like Leon in terms, or Leon if you call him that, in terms of story. We want him to be loved. We want him to be we want people to be sympathetic towards him. And the reason is because his father and mother were killed by dragons, and his uncle, who really hates dragons, who was the Pope as well, took him in and raised him as the next Pope. Now with this, you can see where everything kind of starts getting twisted. Being the Pope, you really have control over everything, because in this story, the Pope lives in a castle that used to be the castle of Ulysses, the Halidom of Ulysses. And this setting basically shows where everything is right now. Like I've said before, Na is the divine dragon, taking place after Tiki, who took place after Naga. And everyone kind of has a way of intertwining in the story. A lot of the villains are reused between the stories. Really depends on the path you choose. There's a main villain, which is the Pope, and then there's a secondary villain that kind of drives you towards that part to the Pope. And there's only 12 characters for each path, but you will be able to recruit the other characters from the other paths if you want to. We did this for the sole reason that there's not a lot of space when it comes to Fire Emblem GBA ROMs that work, really. Sometimes they can get laggy or crash, and we wanted to save as much space as possible. So what we ended up opting for was using different lords and having them change the beginning and the end of the story, and having the other lords not really be lords when you recruit them. For example, the mercenary, he'd be a lord technically in his playthrough, and that would be for the sole convenience of having a convoy available. But if you were to recruit him in any other path, he would just be a mercenary, albeit with higher growth rates, because they are supposed to be main characters and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. What we have so far for the story is 3 out of 7 completed. We still have some more things to go towards, and it's still a work in progress. But if you like it, drop a like. I'll probably put the Discord down below if you want to join, add any characters or custom characters that you want to see in there. We are always looking for new characters that are based off real people, so we can have that actual human connection. And that'd be it. Thank you.